That budget stove sprayed gas everywhere. My pillow flat by midnight. These 5 pieces of gear looked perfect until I actually took them on trail. You've seen these gear items everywhere. Cheap, light, popular. They're in Reddit gear lists, YouTube loadouts, and 5-star reviews. But after over 300 nights out on trail, some of these failed me hard. Ruined nights, wrecked sleep, gear that cracked under pressure. So here are 5 overhyped items I'd never pack again and what actually replaced them. And if you're into real world backpacking gear that works and what absolutely doesn't, hit subscribe. I drop new videos every week. So the BRS stove, yeah, the infamous titanium ultralight stove that's under $20, weighs basically nothing, and shows up in every budget gear list from here to Katahdin. And I'll admit, I wanted this stove to work. I mean, I was getting the best of both worlds, ultralight and ultra cheap. I saw multiple thru-hikers recommending it, so I bought it and tossed it into my cook kit thinking I just scored the perfect minimalist stove. Then came the first night out. Long day, temps dropping, stomach growling, and I pull out the BRS, screw it onto my canister, and it sprayed gas everywhere. At least mine did. I tried reseating it, same thing. And now I'm thinking, no way is this happening. I haven't even boiled a single cup of water with this stove yet. Mine failed right out of the box. Now I may have just gotten unlucky and got a dud, but it didn't work for me. So after that trip, I upgraded to the MSR Pocket Rocket 2, which I covered in more detail in my last video. It's a bit heavier, it's not flashy, but it has worked every single time. And that's the trade that I'll take. Function over numbers on a spreadsheet. And if you want to check out the MSR, the link's in the description. So the lesson here, don't just chase popularity with backpacking gear. Ultralight gear is great until it fails you in the one moment you really need it. And trust me, you'll remember that moment. All right, so when I first started backpacking, I had this idea in my head that I was gonna start filming my trips. Trail shots, time lapses, that sweet morning coffee steam curling out of a titanium mug. So I committed and bought an $800 mirrorless camera and the Peak Design capture clip on my shoulder strap. For me, it was about bringing a heavy camera and snapping it onto my shoulder strap. And for the first couple of trips, it felt like a solid system. I could pop the camera off in seconds, get a trail shot, snap it back, and keep hiking. But that feeling didn't last forever. Every single time I went to take off my pack, that camera strapped to my shoulder strap would inevitably snag on something. I'd either have to take the camera off first or be super gentle with my pack because now there's an $800 camera attached to it. And I'd often end up just taking the camera off first. So now anytime I needed 2 hands, like pulling out a snack, digging for my rain jacket, or trying to unzip a pocket on my pack, I've got this big camera in my other hand. Not once did I ever feel like it was a streamlined system. So eventually I ditched the camera and the shoulder clip, and now I just use an iPhone, which for my style of shooting gets me nearly the same quality of footage. I keep it in a Z-Pack shoulder pouch that I can cinch shut whenever I'm taking off my pack. Simple, fast, and out of the way. I still get the footage I need, but most importantly, I got my trail flow back. The lesson learned here, if your gear disrupts something basic about your trip, it's not worth it, even if it shoots in 16 megapixels. So I thought I'd scored with the Trekology Ultralight pillow. Cheap, absurdly light, and packed as small as a Cliff Bar. It checked every box I wanted for a pillow, and for a grand total of 2 trips, it earned its place. Solid loft, decent comfort, I actually slept. Then on a short solo trip in the Sierras, night 1, it failed. Without warning, around 3 a.m., I wake up face down on my tent floor, reinflated the pillow, drifted back off to sleep, woke up flat again. Classic slow leak. Now look, a pillow is not essential, but going to sleep with soft, comfortable support and then waking up face down on the hard floor, That's kind of a morale killer. You end up spending the night half awake, reinflating the pillow, hoping it holds, and it doesn't. And now you're basically carrying dead, floppy weight for the rest of your trip. So I had to ditch the Trekology, and that wasn't even the first name brand pillow that leaked on me. Eventually, I discovered the Ultralight $3 Flex Air pillow. It weighs half an ounce and it's cheap enough to buy 10 of them. And somehow I've never had one leak on close to 50 trips now. The lesson: in the backcountry, gear will fail. It's inevitable. So if it's not critical, don't overinvest. And speaking of sleep systems, if you've ever tried to sleep in a hammock and woke up shaped like a pretzel, you'll feel this next one. So a few years after I started backpacking, I heard about hammock camping. And on one trip, I decided to try it. I still brought my tent with me, but I took out a hammock to see if I might be able to replace my sleep system long term. Worst case, I just crawl back in the tent. The hammock I bought was on Amazon, 9 feet long, ultralight, marketed to backpackers, looked great on paper until I actually tried sleeping in it. First night, I woke up feeling like I was curled into a nylon banana. My neck was torqued, my knees hyperextended, and my feet kept slipping off the edge. What I realized is that a 9-foot hammock is way too short for me to sleep in at 6 feet 2. And when sleep quality tanks, everything downstream suffers. Energy, morale, your mileage the next day, etc. So now, a few years later, I actually do most of my backpacking in a hammock, but I use an 11-foot hammock now, and I buy hammocks from companies that make hammocks for sleeping in. Companies like Warbonnet, Dutchware, and Hammock Gear make extremely high quality hammocks that you can absolutely sleep in comfortably as long as you get them pitched right. So yeah, trying hammock camping can be a fun experiment, but understand that there's a difference between casual hammocks meant for lounging in and a full hammock sleep system that actually works overnight in real backcountry conditions. All right, so when I first started backpacking, I'd bring out a bandana, a light, simple, classic multi-use gear. It can be a sweat rag, sun protection, water pre-filter, camp towel, cleanup cloth. It fit the minimalist mindset, and for a while it held up just fine. But as I started dialing in my system for longer mileage days and less predictable conditions, having just a single piece of gear to serve all of those purposes started creating some problems. The issue wasn't the bandana, it was the conflicting use cases of a single bandana for an entire trip. I'd use it to wipe trail grime off of my face, and then 10 minutes later, I'd need to use it to pre-filter some silty water. Or it would be soaked from wiping sweat all day, and suddenly it was the only cloth I had to dry cookware or wash my face. And yeah, technically you can rinse it, but there's a point where multi-use just kind of starts to stretch things a little bit too far. So I started bringing a second bandana along with a buff around my neck. The buff is dedicated for sun and wind protection. One bandana is dedicated for my face, hands, and personal hygiene, and the other one gets the dirty jobs, pre-filtering water, gear wipe downs, whatever. It added another 1 to 2 ounces, but it's an example of how taking a small weight penalty can sometimes make your whole system smoother and more resilient. And ultimately, none of this gear was inherently bad. It just wasn't right for me. And that's the truth about backpacking. You don't really know what works until you're out there, tired, wet, wondering why your stove won't light or your pillows gradually turning into a pancake. So if you've got a piece of gear that didn't work for you on a backpacking trip, let me know down in the comments below. And if you want to see what actually earned its spot in my kit after all these years, check out this video here on the 5 backpacking items I'd absolutely buy again. All right, so keep dialing in your kit, guys. Get out there and see what works for you, and I will catch you on the next one.